All right, so here we got Chung-Li Powerlifting Ultimate Black color version, black and gold. Uh, Unfortunately, not too happy with it. The same problem that I had with PCS statues in the past. Well, one in particular, the PCS Vampirella, is the molding, the sculpt on the model, on the character, is kind of very plain and very generic. It's missing a lot of intricate details that you would expect on a pose like this. Like with the Vampirella, um, her body was just lacking some details that should have been there. So, like with this one, specifically, if you're bench pressing 800 pounds, 500 pounds, your legs should have certain definition, certain lines of how your muscles are shaped. So it's missing all of that definition, all of those lines that would bulge out once you're flexing certain muscles. Her calves, they're just plain looking. There's no thin lines that you would expect again, right where her calves are. You'd expect some like a line on the back here. I don't know. It's just very lacking of details. Again, you should see lines of the muscle bulging out under all of this weight, because it would be like 100, 200, 300, 400 pounds. So you're benching 400 pounds, your muscles are going to bulge out, are going to flex really hard. And you don't see any of that definition on her legs. And one thing I noticed right away, since I'm a pervert, her breasts are missing that separation. This line right here, you should notice the left side and right side, a very unique line that cuts through. But the unique line, it's kind of lacking again. There should be more of a separation between the left side and the right side. It's kind of hard to explain unless you see it in person. And again, you don't see that specific line continuing right here on the shirt. That line that would be right here and curves around. You don't see it on her shirt, which should be a very tight fitting shirt. So it should have more of a kind of pervy look, like a Marvel Rivals character look, where their clothing is very tight fitting, so you can see all of the shapes, all of the lines on their clothing. You don't see that detail right here. Might sound a little pervy, but for a tight fitting shirt, you should see it. See the lines right around her boobs. Although the excuse could be, well, it's black, so you can't really see the line work. So again, missing a lot of details. The weights have a very plastic look. It doesn't have a metallic shine. It looks very plastic. The bar looks very plastic, doesn't have a metallic shine. This part of the bar it's okay. Looks like a real bar. But again, the weights, you can just look at it visually, not even touch it, but look at it visually, and you can see it has a very plastic look, and this end a plastic look. The middle end has the grip lines, so it looks okay, but the ends, the weights, the ends, the weights look very plasticky, very kind of cheap. Doesn't give off that metallic look like she's lifting real weights, real actual weights. Sorry for the low light. I kind of set this up 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening. And then I had a little mishap where there's magnets on one of the weights inside one of the slots. So the magnet became loose. And Fortunately, it still fits without the magnet. You can put it in and it holds pretty well without the magnet. But just as added security, it's good to have the magnet inside. But uh, you might have this issue if you remove the weights like 2 or 3 times. Because I try to see if there's a difference between the left side and the right side. So I try to do a switcheroo a couple times, and during the switch, yeah, the magnets came out of one of the weights. But again, it holds in place without the magnet. But again, she's just Chung-Li, and her face is just so generic looking. She doesn't have any line work on her face, any like blush or makeup. Although you could say, oh, she's at a gym, she's not wearing makeup, but no type of blush or facial features except for a generic looking nose, generic looking lips, generic looking eyes. There's no colors, no shading on her face, just very plain and generic looking. Again, I had the same problem with the PCS Vampirella, where she's standing over like a magical, what you would call it. What's that thing? The round thing with the where you pouring the potions. Well, the Vampirella statue that PCS came out with like a year ago, that one I returned, and I have the video of that on my channel. But that one I returned, and I think I'm most likely gonna return this also. Again, very plain looking, very generic looking paintwork, line work, shading. And if it was a lot cheaper, I might keep it. This looks like something that you would get from a GameStop store, a GameStop video game store, and because they do sell the cheaper looking statues for like $150, maybe $200. So if you saw this at a GameStop video game store for like $250, $299, $300, maybe it would be worth it. And it has that look, that $299 look, that $300 look at a regular comic book store, at a regular video game store. And her base is very generic. I actually improved the base by putting the loose battery again from the inside of the weights. I improved the base somehow by putting the batteries here because it looks so generic. Just her phone, and her phone doesn't give off a vibe of an actual phone. Her whey protein bottle, which again doesn't even give off a vibe, a look of an actual bottle. It just looks like if you have a little sister or kids who have Barbie toys, and the Barbie toys have accessories. That's kind of how it looks. Very generic, like very generic looking accessories. They don't look like actual physical objects. They just look like very kind of cheaply done, cheaply made. And that's basically the entire statue. It looks very generic, very Barbie doll-ish, very play school-ish. Mattel, Hasbro toys. Yeah, it doesn't. What's that other popular figure company that makes like Terminators and Ninja Turtles and 6-inch figures? I keep forgetting the name of it. But yeah, it doesn't look like um, a crazy looking Prime One Studio statue, a crazy looking XM Studio statue. It doesn't have that high level of details. Just too generic. Even her boobs somehow don't even look sexy. Again, sorry to keep bringing up her boobs, but you would even expect her breasts to look nice and voluptuous, but they look just generic. Yeah, just set it up a little while ago, so the box is still right there. The styrofoam and everything is right here. By the way, if you don't own a cordless vacuum, those are freaking awesome. Cordless vacuums. Anyway, back to the statue. Yeah, just too generic looking. Her back. Yeah, PCS definitely needs to do something about their paintwork and how they create the models, because they need to have more line work on the bodies of their statue and better looking paint, more realistic looking paint, more shading on the bodies, more line work on the bodies, more detail on the faces. Because if you compare this to Prime 1 Studios or XM Studios, it just does not compare at all. Again, very plastic looking. Very plastic looking. I don't like it. I mean, again, it would be okay if it was for $299, but for like $800 or like $900, I think it was $800. It's just too pricey. And the base, it's so plain looking and just very generic looking base. I mean, even what's supposed to be mats, rubber mats, have a very plastic look. Doesn't even have that look like rubber. And for one very big complaint, for whatever reason, they made the base extremely heavy, because the base itself feels like at least, I would say between 25 to 30 pounds, which is weird because the statue, from her feet to the top of her head and even the weights, it only feels like maybe 25. So why would you need a 30-pound base for a statue that's maybe 25 pounds? I mean, the base, it's extremely heavy, which is annoying if you're a crazy collector who's lacking space and you need to put it somewhere and then maybe move it once or twice, or try to place it on a high shelf. It's gonna be very annoying because this base is so heavy. It's very close to like 30 pounds, just the base by itself. And again, the statue maybe 25 pounds, so say about 55 pounds total, grand total. But the base does not make sense why they made it so heavy. They definitely should have made it a little bit lighter, because once you have a wide width, make it wide, then it's going to be stable. The weight doesn't really matter that much, because it's wide here this way and it's wide this way, so it's going to be stable. They could have made it a lot lighter, especially for people who like to move their statues for cleaning, or if you just want to try it from a low tier shelf to a higher tier shelf, and then back from the higher tier shelf to a lower tier shelf. It's gonna be a very big pain because they made the base so heavy. Unless you try to remove the statue, put the statue to the side, move the base separately, then put the statue back on the base. But yeah, it makes no sense that they made the base so heavy, extremely heavy, close to like 30 pounds, I would guess. And again, a very generic looking statue. I thought I would be impressed with this particular one out of the 3 different versions. There's the regular blue version, I think a white and blue version where she's wearing pants, tight sweatpants, and this black and gold version, which I thought, okay, she's wearing shorts, she should look nice and sexy. and it doesn't really look nice and sexy. Again, it has that very generic, kind of almost like a Barbie dollish look. Missing a lot of details that should be there. Again, especially if she's squatting 400 pounds, slightly over 400 pounds, if you include the weight of the barbell. So again, just like the Vampirella from PCS from about a year ago, where she's standing over her boiling, what do you call it? Bowl? Cauldron. She's standing over her cauldron. I returned that one, and I'm most likely gonna return this one, because I actually had my eyes on Prime One Studios Hellbat, the Hellbat statue from Prime One Studios in 1/4 scale. I kind of didn't want to buy it at first, but now I'm kind of thinking about getting it, especially since I have the XM Studios Batwoman. So maybe put the Prime One Hellbat next to her, because it would match very well. She's black and red, and he's also black and red, and she's standing on a large base, and he's also standing on a large base. So I might get the Prime One Hellbat along with the XM Studios Batwoman and put those side by side and get back my $700, $800 for this. Because I think Sideshow also has the Hellbat statue. Or I can get it from specfiction.com, which is also a good site. But yeah, this does not compare to a Prime One Studios highly detailed statue, an XM Studios highly detailed statue. Even her arms are missing a lot of line work that should be there, where her muscles should be bulging out. I mean, she does have muscles, but the line work is very lacking. Her fingernails look very generic. There's separation with her fingers, but it should be more pronounced, more visible. I mean, in a way, her fingers almost look like they're glued together, like it's one solid piece, and then the molding artist took a knife and said 1, 2, 3 lines. I'll separate it, but they don't have that look of 4 individual fingers. They look almost like they're stuck together. It doesn't have that look of 4 individual fingers. They look like they're kind of glued together. Instead of 4 separate pieces, it just looks like one solid piece. One solid piece instead of 4 separate pieces. And again, her face looks alright, but it's missing a lot of detail. Again, PCS, I don't know. I am happy with the PCS Chun-Li statue, beach bikini statue, which they came out with like 2 or 3 years ago. Chun-Li beach bikini. I think that was 1/5 scale. So I did like that one. So I keep giving them a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance. But I don't know. I'm not too happy with PCS. I think I gotta push them back to the bottom of my list. And I think, oddly enough, they changed their name to like prestigious collectible statues, but I don't see the prestigious part of it, or whatever they call themselves now. It looks too generic. Even her shoes look kind of plain. Oh, no sexy boobies. Just plain looking boobies. No good.